Hi, I'd like to welcome you all to Rainbow. We're a cooperatively owned and managed bookstore, and we've been around for over 20 years now. And we're located on West Gilman at 426, just off of State Street. So please come by. It is my great pleasure today to introduce Amitabh Pal. He is managing editor at the Progressive magazine and co-editor of the Progressive Media Project. He has interviewed several eminent personalities for the magazine, including Jimmy Carter, Mikhail Gorbachev, and the Dalai Lama. And today, he will be discussing his recent book, Islam Means Peace: Understanding the Muslim Principle of Nonviolence Today. So, without further ado, Amitabh Pal.
Thanks, Colin. And I'd like to start off with something that happened just today. And this is something that is so pertinent to my book and the theme of the book and what we'll be speaking about. Mark Anthony Stroman was executed by the state of Texas. How does that pertain to what I'll be talking about? He actually, in the aftermath of September 11th, he went around looking for Arabs to kill as revenge for September 11th, managed instead to kill somebody from India, somebody from Pakistan, and gravely wounded a Bangladeshi immigrant, Raz Bhuiyan. Raz Bhuiyan describes to the New York Times what happened to him. There were 38 pellets in my face. I couldn't open my eyes or talk or open my jaw. I couldn't even eat or drink anything. My face was heavily swollen. There were gunshot wounds. My face was horrible. I couldn't believe it was happening. I prayed, please God, give my face back. The Times adds, Mr. Bhuiyan was discharged the day after being treated. He was told he did not have health insurance. Over the next several months, he slept on people's couches and had to rely on physician samples for medication, including painkillers and eye drops. How does all this pertain to the theme of my book, Islam Means Peace? Believe it or not, Raz Bhuiyan was in the forefront of trying to get Mr. Stroman clemency from the death penalty. When asked why, he said, I was raised very well by my parents and teachers. They raised me with good morals and strong faith. They taught me to put yourself in others' shoes. Even if they hurt you, don't take revenge. Forgive them, move on. It'll bring something good to you and them. My Islamic faith teaches me this too. Stroman said he did this as an act of war, and a lot of Americans wanted to do it, but he had the courage to do it, to shoot Muslims. I decided that forgiveness was not enough, that what he did was out of ignorance. I decided I had to do something to save this person's life. Unfortunately, his efforts were in vain, in a way, and Mark Stroman was put to death by the state of Texas just today itself, but not completely in vain. Mr. Stroman was an avowed white supremacist who took pride for a long time in what he did. In the end, though, Raz Bhuiyan's deeds, his actions in trying to get him clemency, completely changed his mind. And he said, in the free world I was free, but I was locked in a prison inside myself because of the hate I carried in my heart. This has really touched my heart, what Mr. Bhuiyan did, and the heart of many others worldwide, especially since for the last 10 years, all we have heard about is how evil the Islamic faith can be. This is proof that all are not bad or evil. He's a survivor of my hate. His deep Islamic beliefs gave him the strength to forgive the unforgivable, and is truly inspiring to me, and should be an example for us all. And from here I go back to the title of my book, which is derived from a quotation by Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Gandhi, many decades ago. So you can see Mahatma Gandhi back in the 1920s, 30s, and Raz Bhuiyan, they're operating on the same principle. It's quite remarkable, and I couldn't have hoped for a better example, to illustrate the theme of my book. And Gandhi says, my reading of the Quran has convinced me that the basis of Islam is not violence, but is unadulterated peace, because it regards forbearance as superior to vengeance, which is exactly the same principle, in spite of suffering so much, that Raj Bhuiya was operating on also. And in spite of being disabled and so badly hurt, it's quite remarkable that he took the step of trying to get his possible killer and somebody who wounded him so badly clemency. This is quite a remarkable moment to be talking about what I'm talking about, because just 2 months away, we are just 2 months away from the killing of Osama bin Laden. Hopefully, if not the ending of Al-Qaeda, then at least the debilitating of Al-Qaeda. They have a new leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri. But I would hope that his passing away is both literal and symbolic. And at the same time, it's such an exciting time to be in, because 2011 has been an incredibly momentous year for the exact opposite of the philosophy that Osama bin Laden was espousing, and that is pacifism and nonviolence. If I was speaking with you even late last year about pacifism in the Muslim world, I would have to explain myself. Perhaps some of you would remember the Green Movement in Iran 2 years ago. That did get some coverage, not as much as it should have perhaps, but at least some coverage. But no other example that I have listed in my book, ranging from very recent instances, Pakistan 2007, 2008, mass movement overthrew Pervez Musharraf, the general who had ruled there for many years. Maldives, a small island nation, longest serving dictator in Asia, was overthrown. Back a few years ago, the Balkans. Further back, Muslim Gandhians. None of these are known in the West. Iran was the only partial exception. But now when I speak with people and tell them about mass peaceful protest in the Muslim world, I don't get sort of quizzical faces and blank looks, because the last 6 to 8 months have been truly momentous. I think it may be the most momentous year in modern Arab history, and one of the most, perhaps, in global history, at least since World War II. December 2008, one man, and I'll get back to him and talk about him, Mohammad Bouazizi, lit himself as an act of protest. That act has set off this remarkable chain of events where there is almost not a single country untouched by mass protest, from Morocco all the way to the border of Pakistan, Iran. So it's the Arab world plus Iran. Almost all these countries have been shaken by protest. In 2 countries, protesters have managed to get success, Tunisia and Egypt. And as I said, I'll talk more about this as we go on. In other countries, I know it's still in flux, but I advise people not to be impatient. Let's wait. And I'm confident in at least a couple of other countries, Bahrain, for example, Syria maybe, that there will be positive change. It's still 6 to 8 months. Let's remember, took Gandhi 30 plus years after he came back to India. Took Martin Luther King a decade. I think in this day and age, we have sort of, very limited attention spans, and we should give people more time. It's not even been a year. So we should definitely be patient. So the theme of my book is, Islam and nonviolence, Islam and pacifism. I caution people and tell them, they say, what about Al-Qaeda? What about, the Taliban? I am not saying there is an absence of violence in Islam. What I'm saying is, please do not be reductive. What I'm saying is, there is at the same time a strand of nonviolence, a strand of pacifism that can be seized upon, that can be used by people interested in engaging in mass peaceful protest. And they have, as I show in my book again and again, back in the 1940s, 1930s, again in the 1970s, again in the 1980s and 90s, and now, of course, the Green Movement and Tunisia, Egypt, and other countries in the Arab world. What's happening in the Middle East has changed people's minds about the Arab world and about Islam, but unfortunately not enough. And that's the reason I think that, if I may be a bit less humble that the book is needed. A recent statistic was